Now you can enjoy the happiness of the holidays for the next 6 months by paying less and making more money by getting 180 days of picks from your favorite handicapper at a huge discount. This limited time Christmas special gives you a 90-day all-access pass with a handicapper of your choice at WagerTalk.com, plus an additional 90 days of all-access passes at no additional cost, an $849 value. This comes out to just under $5 per day, includes all sports released and any 5% best bets, normally priced at $35 each. Your access with your handicapper will cover NFL through the Super Bowl, college football through the national championship, any NBA and NHL action, including playoff games played during access and the start of the MLB season. Plus, if your handicapper does UFC, soccer, tennis, or any sport, yep, it's included. Happy holidays from everyone at WagerTalk.
Happy Thursday, guys. Carmine Bianco, WagerTalk.com with another edition of Stoppage. Actually, puck time. I was going to say stoppage time. I'm thinking it's our Thursday soccer show. A huge slate of games today, 11 games. We're going to cover 4 of the games: Boston, New York Islanders, Colorado, Nashville, Ottawa, Tampa Bay, and Columbus and Edmonton. Joining me today, Bryan Leonard in his regular Thursday spot, and Dr. Chuck jumping in. 2 of us here. He's jumping in. Andrew's obviously still in Vegas. He was at Circa yesterday. If anyone saw his tweets, he's having a fantastic time in Vegas, hopefully winning some money. Bri, let's bring you in first. Huge slate tonight of games. This unbalanced NHL schedule. We go from like 1 game on a Monday that gets canceled to like 14 games to like 3 games to 11. Bring back those days where we had like 7-8 games every night, and we just had games to choose from instead of like 3 or 4 games. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, although I'm not sure professional sports and amateur sports is doing well right now. COVID's hitting everybody, and it's hitting the NHL hard, just like anybody else. And so we may be talking about games today that may not take place tonight, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, it is crazy. Having done some and just sending out some messages just before the show kicked off about soccer is why that stoppage time was stuck in my head. Obviously, Tottenham, Leicester City game canceled today. Manchester United game canceled on the weekend. And I'm anticipating 3 to 4 more games in Europe being canceled. And the same thing's happening in NHL. I talked about it on yesterday's show. NHL doctors met the other night to discuss putting a plan in place instead of 3-day testing, going to everyday testing in the NHL to look to stem off what is going on here. There's just a lot of positive tests happening, and we're seeing it every sport, even the NFL. So with that said, and before I bring in the doctor, what you might want to do is just keep in touch with all the team pages on social media to find out if any players are going to be missing due to illness. The last thing you want to do is play a game like the Bruins game tonight and then find out that a couple of the players are out tonight. We'll discuss that when we get to that. But before that, let's bring in Dr. Chuck. How you doing?
Pretty good, yeah. When you were mentioning at the beginning of the show, you said stoppage time on accident. I was like, I have a feeling I just got to push on my phone right before the show started that the EPL is asking for a pause. So, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are it's interesting because there's so many positive tests and so few people with symptoms that I think it's unprecedented, as the leagues don't really know what to do, except that they have to still quarantine people. So, I mean, it's definitely a mess out there. So it feels a lot like last year where a lot of your tickets are going to be canceled. So like you said, Carm, pay attention or wait. It might just be one of those times where you just want to wait and see to make sure you're going to get who you think you're going to get before you are holding a ticket that ends up, you were mentioning right before we came on air, this guy's out, this guy's out, this guy's out, this guy's out. All right, let's go. So, I mean, it's not the other night, the Nets, they only had 8 guys. Somehow Durant still willed them to a win, but you have to have 8 guys to play an NBA game, and they had 8, and that was it. So I mean, it's going to be interesting going forward.
Yeah, it really is, and for lack of a better word, it blows as far as sports goes, but as far as life goes. Before we get into the first game, I'm north of the border, and I told you guys just before the show kicked off in production. We here in Canada are taking steps backwards. Travel advisories in effect. Limited capacities, all our arenas, Scotiabank Arena, where the Leafs play, and the Raptors play, are back down to 50% capacity. They're now contacting season ticket holders. So I'm going to find out what's happening with my tickets, whether I'll even be able to go and watch a game. Indoor seating. It's restaurants. It's terrible what's happening right now. It's just, I'm done with it. Yeah, I just at the end of the month, I'm off. I'm taking off for a week to an island, and I may stay there for 6 months if the Wi-Fi is good enough. I'll do stoppage time for the beaches of Curacao, Dutch Caribbean. So that's what I'm talking about. Anyways, let's get to the first game, guys. The Boston Bruins and New York Islanders. Let's have a look at the numbers on this one. The Islanders minus 125 at home. The Bruins plus 105. The puck line 5.5. I'm going to go to Brian first on this one. And first look at this game, you think, why are the Islanders favored? The Bruins are playing well, or at least better than the Islanders are. The Islanders finally got a win at home in their new arena. But still, it's a team struggling to put wins together, starting to play better, but playing better and losing by a goal is still losing. You look at this game, and, I'm looking at the total, and one of the reasons why I'm looking at the total is the Islanders aren't really scoring goals, but you're missing two-thirds of the top line for the Bruins. Bergeron out, Marchand out, and that's probably why the line is where it is. Islanders 5-3 to the under thus far at home. The Bruins on a 7-0-1 under run, and the total is at 5.5. You have to pay a little bit of juice on the under, Bri, but I'm leaning to the under myself. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, first off, you mentioned the 50% capacity in Canada. That's not a problem. The Arizona Coyotes have done that for the last decade. Went to a game there, walked up, and got front row tickets. So, yeah, it's a situation right now with all these games. You've got to pay more attention. I did a college football show yesterday, and we talked about normally as soon as the lines come out in college football for the bowl games, you rush out and try to get a best line. Well, you don't know who's playing, so you're going to be waiting to the last minute, and I think that's what we're probably going to have to do with all sports at this point. You mentioned Boston being without 2 of their top 3. The Islanders still without a couple of players there. The Islanders have only won 1 game at home so far this year in their new stadium. They're about to start a 4-game homestand, so I would think that they can start turning it around now. But, Boston's playing their 8th straight game in a different city. So lots of traveling for Boston. Their home stands have only been for 1 game, so they've done a lot of traveling. I watched a game the other day against the Knights, and the Bruins just looked terrible. They looked like one of the worst teams in the NHL that day, and they just could not control the puck. They were lackadaisical, and that's a concern for this team because they have the talent, and the advanced stats show that they're one of those teams that should be one of the best in the league. They just haven't shown it this year, so I think the Islanders are in a pretty good spot right here. The line's fair. Boston coming in a little bit shorthanded. I'm leaning with the Islanders in this one.
All right, Brian, with the New York Islanders. And, Brian, the Islanders likely will win before I go to Dr. Chuck because I'm not picking them tonight. I've been talking about how I expect the Islanders. They had what I thought would be a soft schedule. They only picked up a couple wins and I think 3 or 4 OT losses and some points there, but they still got a long way to go before they can even sniff that 8th spot in the standings if they even get that high up. Dr. Chuck, thoughts on this one?
I kind of agree with both of the aspects that you two have brought up already, and it's one of those things where it's hard to see the Bruins and you're getting plus money and not think that's the way to go, but then you got to think, why the hell is that the case? And if you are looking at that line thinking, wow, I'm getting a discount on the Bruins, just like Bryan said, you got to look back at that game. And if you didn't watch the game like Bryan did, at least look at the, post-game box score and the analytics of it. And I hate using adjectives in my capping, but the Bruins were garbage. And it's just the simple case. And so not only are you, like Bryan said, are you getting a fair price on the Islanders, which is ridiculous because I think you're laying $1.20 or more, and it's silly that that's a fair price. But yeah, the Bruins are just going under. The last 4 of them have gone under. It's hard to imagine that they score even against the Islanders. And so, it feels like the Bruins are going to limp away from another game that might look, Knights won 4-1. Islanders probably don't do 4 goals, but this is probably like a 2-1, 3-1 type game, and the under and the Islanders are probably the right side, and Vegas probably makes some money on both those.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and I like playing sometime every once in a while for some pizza money, Dr. Chuck, those exact scores, and you just find one regardless of who wins the game, and you can take let's say a 3-1 type game, and you find the line for 3-1, either team winning 3-1. And you get a good price, and it's probably about plus 700, plus 750 in this game. I'll look it up after we go to the next game, and you just go that way. You figure the Bruins would do some of the scoring tonight, but again, we're missing Marchand Bergeron out. That's going to hurt that team. Anyways, let's get to the next game on the card. Colorado Avalanche, Nashville Predators. In this one, let's have a look at the number. Colorado minus 185, Nashville plus 155. The total is at 6. And this is one of those games where, you got 2 teams coming in, both on 5-game win streaks. This is the Preds' first game back off that perfect 4-0 road trip. But they have an Avs team coming in that have scored 28 goals, 5.6 goals per game scored. They are just filling the net. The only problem here is, and these teams played back in Colorado, Colorado winning that game 6-2. But that was Johansson and Riddick in net in that one. We're going to see the number ones tonight in goal, Comfort and UC Saros in net here. And the thinking is always 2 teams scoring a lot of goals. The total's at 6. Let me go over. I'm not looking that way. I think when you get 2 very good teams, sometimes that game does stay under. I'm leaning under here, and I think Nashville at home with their number 1 goalie in net, and Landeskog out tonight, another player out tonight. He's injured. Probably hurts this Avs team a little bit, although they do have a ton of scoring on that team. I'm leaning under myself, Bri. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, the spot screams Nashville. Take a look at the Colorado team. As good as they've been, and they've been really good as of late. Only 7-5-1 on the road this season. This is their long trip between 5 home games. The Avalanche won the previous 3 games, and now they host Tampa Bay on Saturday. So if you're looking for, it's hard to say a divisional rival being a flat spot. It could be here. Nashville only sits 1 point behind Colorado, 8-5 in this building, and they're well rested after not having to play the Flames earlier this week. Nashville's won 5 straight games, but you may have noticed that the Nashville line has really gone up lately, and that's because of COVID. Nashville's got, Johansson, Granlund, Luff, McCarron, Tomaso, Harper placed on the list. They had 11 people today, including 5 coaches, go on the COVID list. So at this point, we don't know who's going to be playing for Nashville in this game. I originally liked Nashville before this all happened. Now we're getting an extra 30, 40 cents on this. Without knowing who is going to be out and who's going to be playing, the spot screams Nashville. I like Nashville. I recommended Nashville to my clients overnight, but at this point, it's hard to bet right now. I think this is a game we're going to have to wait until later on today and bet. I still think as well as Colorado's playing and the spot's so bad for them here, that getting the 175, I've even seen the 175s out there for the dog in this one, playing at home on a strong home ice. I think that's the way to go, but do you really feel strongly about putting it out right now as opposed to waiting until later on in the day? Like Nashville here, It's probably going to be on my card. In fact, it's already on my card. But with all this new stuff going on, I'm going to wait till a little bit later. But as of right now, I like them, but I need to research it a little bit more and probably wait until later on today. And there's actually been talk about this game being canceled. So I don't have a lot of information in that regard. From a strict number standpoint, you got to like Nashville here. But like I said, we don't know who's going to be playing, and I don't want to make that decision until later on in the day.
No, and I get you, Bryan, and that's a good point and good advice. This is where we are right now. Unfortunately, this is where we are. If you see a line move and you see a line move significantly, something is going on. There are movements that might not have been reported as of yet in all mainstream media, but something has happened. It's similar to a few days ago, the New York Islanders playing Detroit. The Islanders were minus 125 in the morning. About 2 hours or 3 hours later, I think it was, Barzal was ruled out. And all of a sudden, the Detroit Red Wings are minus 125. That line shifted 50 cents. It didn't shift 50 cents because of the teams. In general, it shifted 50% because of players being out of the lineup. So it's one of those things where social media have alerts on for team sites. And if you're going to be betting on them, last thing you want is to put your hard-earned money on a team and find out that 3 or 4 of their best players are in the press box and not on the ice. Dr. Chuck, thoughts on this game?
Yeah, when we are pre-show discussing different things we're looking at on the night slate, that I was researching everywhere to figure out what Bryan was just talking about. And so, I mean, this game screams that it's not going to happen, which probably would benefit Nashville on that win streak. As he was saying with this value stuff, I mean, throwing something on that money line, if as it approaches plus 200 is only going to be the way to go. I can't imagine, but that even the puck line is approaching just $1.50. And so, I mean, you're going to get a team that has won 5 in a row at home. I mean, you do want Saros to be in there. And so if he were to have COVID issues as well, you're talking about bigger issues. But I mean, so then you're getting plus 1.5. I've lost twice against the Avalanche recently in that same vein, where I had the Rangers the other night on the puck line, thought that there's just no way that's going to lose 3-2. And then the Avs put one in with about 9 seconds left, and I lost that one. So, I mean, it's painful to have a puck line ticket against the Avalanche, because that happens, seems to be regularly. But I don't know. I wouldn't be on the Avalanche, but I probably can't imagine being on the Predators either. But if they are going to continue to be shorter and shorter, but force that game to be played, then I think Carm's right. It's under or pass.
Yeah, and that's the thing again. And you make a very good point. While you have a Nashville team returning home but playing well with 5 games, and maybe Colorado not at complete full strength, missing Landeskog as well too, who's a big part of that team. I want no part of Nashville if it's not Saros in net, if it's Riddick in net. I understand he's still a good goalie, but he's not the goalie I want facing this Avs team. So again, wait to see the news. Check places like RotoWire, which I use during the show, and I'll update it to see if the goalies are confirmed or not. There are probably 5 or 6 goalies confirmed for this evening, but the Nashville-Colorado game does not have any goalies confirmed at this point. Guys, let's move on to the third game. Ottawa, Tampa Bay. Let's have a look at the numbers on this one. Tampa Bay minus 245 on this one. Ottawa, a juicy plus 195. If you like the dog here, the total's at 6. Dr. Chuck, I'm going to go to you first on this one. That Lightning ended a 5-game road trip in Ottawa. It was the Saturday matinee. They put Elliott in net, and Ottawa beat them 4-0. Ottawa then goes to Florida and beats the Florida Panthers, a surprising 8-2 annihilation of the Florida Panthers there. But we're back in Tampa. Tampa came home, beat the Kings. This looks like you would think, a rapid revenge spot, and we're going to probably see Vasilevsky in net tonight. And just some numbers on for you people out there on Vasilevsky at home the last 2 seasons. He's 8-3-2 this season with a 1.91 goals against average. Even better last season, 18-2 during the regular season, 1.75 goals against average. He just doesn't lose at home. 26-5-2 over the last season and a half at home. Give me your thoughts on this one. Myself, I'm leaning on Tampa in this revenge spot, -1.5, even money on the puck line.
Yeah, this isn't a game that I am going to get into. The Senators are very tricky, but yeah, but you mentioned all the positive stuff about Vasilevsky at home and the Lightning at home, and the Senators, are seemingly an over team, but also not. I don't think they're equipped to do this again. And just like you said, rapid revenge. You're getting a great price on a puck line, where sometimes you would have to, if the Senators weren't looking the way they were looking, you'd probably be laying, $1.20, $1.30 on the puck line just to even get the Lightning in this spot. So I think that's the way to go. I've been playing the Lightning under a lot, and it's usually paid off, and the Senators are kind of going the other direction. So I'm wondering if they slow that down here at 6. I don't think I'm really in. If it was 5.5, I'd probably be under. I know that sounds strange, but it's definitely, I think it's Lightning puck line or pass. I mean, what are you going to do with a Lightning -245, -250? I mean, just in case, it doesn't make any sense to hold something like that. But this is going to be a watch and see. But I have a feeling the Lightning, if Carm wins this easily, like 4-0, I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I hope they win it 4-0. I'd be happy with that. Brian, you look at it, and normally you would say, Lightning at home, where they're playing extremely well. They've won 6 of their last 7 games, I believe. The one lost that game with Elliott in Ottawa at the end of that road trip. And then you have Ottawa coming to town, but the Sens have won 5 of the last 6 as well, too. That game against Florida, I'm not sure if it's a case of Florida being absolutely flat or Ottawa just playing their eyeballs out. But at the end of the day, it was 8-2 in Florida, where the Panthers, over the last year plus, have rarely lost a game at home. This team was playing lights out hockey at home. I couldn't believe what I saw in that game, in that one. Where are you going on this one?
Yeah, here's your positive for Ottawa. They've scored 27 goals in their last 6 games. Here's the negative. It's all been against backup goaltenders for the opposition. Now, as you mentioned, Vasilevsky in goal here for Tampa. Tampa's 6-1 in the month of December. The only loss, that 4-0 loss to Ottawa. So they're chomping at the bit to play this game at home here. Ottawa's a team looking real good right now, but it has been against the backup goaltenders. Take a look at expected goals per 60 on the season. Ottawa is -0.46, and you look at the Lightning are plus 0.41. So we've got basically a 1-goal advantage on 5-on-5 play in the full 60 minutes for the Lightning in this matchup. And I think that a lot of the Senators, you got to give them credit for what they did, scoring any type of goals in the NHL, regardless of who the goaltender is, especially the 8 in Florida. Who would have saw that? So they are playing good hockey, but this is a tough matchup for them, especially with the starting goaltender in there for the Lightning. Prefer the Lightning side, not going to lay it. But very much like Dr. Chuck, it's not going to make my card tonight. But we find out a little bit about the Senators. They beat some good teams, but with backup goalies, if they can beat Tampa Bay with Vasilevsky in goal, then maybe we can get some good prices here on Ottawa going forward, and then make me a believer. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think Tampa Bay wins it, although it won't be my money on this one.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm still going to go with that puck line, but I see where you're coming from. I'm a non-believer in this Ottawa Senators team, and it's like you said, against backup goalies. So we'll see. I guess the worst thing that could happen is Vasilevsky doesn't start tonight, but I would believe he's in there for this Tampa Bay team that is going to start or is going to continue to put wins together. All right, guys, last game on the card, and we are going north of the border for this one. Columbus Blue Jackets, Edmonton Oilers. Numbers on this one, the Oilers minus 200, the Columbus Blue Jackets plus 170, the total at 6. And you're probably wondering, how are the Oilers at minus 200, Brian, when they've lost 6 straight games, 5 of those at home, and they've only scored 10 goals in those 6 games and those 6 losses. But, here's the thing. You got the Columbus Blue Jackets coming in. They're struggling as well, too. 2-7, their last 9 games, losers of 6 of their last 7 on the road. And they've allowed 27 goals in those 6 losses, which works out to 4.5 goals per game allowed in those losses. If there was ever a team for the Edmonton Oilers to face to get out of this funk that they are clearly in, Bri, I think it is the Columbus Blue Jackets. And I'm going to jump in front of a streak. I'm going to jump in front of a losing streak and say that the Oilers get back into the win column today. And I think they do it in regulation time. I don't want to lay 200, so I'll lay the minus 135 on the Oilers in regulation. And that's where I'm going on this one. Thoughts?
I had the same thought as you did on this one. I looked at the line and I said, how the hell could a team playing as bad as Edmonton be a $2 favorite? I was on the show on Tuesday. We talked about them being a home underdog. And we didn't know what to make of that. And sure enough, we made that they got beat again. Edmonton's really struggling right now. You mentioned 0-5 on this homestand. They've been outscored 20-6 at home in what is normally a very strong home ice. You got a Columbus team that is playing their 11th game in a row, all in different cities. They have yet to have a home stand, basically. They play one game at home, then they go back on the road, then they come back at home. So 11 straight travel dates for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now they're all the way out playing in Edmonton here. I don't really want any part of Columbus here. You take a look at season-to-date numbers, both of them negative for both of these teams in that goals per 60 and 5-on-5. Columbus down 0.35. Edmonton down 0.17. And at one point, Edmonton was blowing everybody away to start the season. So quite a difference. When Chicago Blackhawks have made the positive change from earlier in the season, Edmonton's just the opposite. They've gone negative. Can't lay $2 with Edmonton at home the way they're playing right now. Don't want a Columbus team playing their 11th different city in 11 games. This is a game I'll be sitting out and proudly sitting out. You can't get involved in this one. It's just simply that way. Now, if it was 150 for the Edmonton, sure. $2, no way. I'll be passing on this one.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Dr. Chuck, thoughts on this one? Again, I'm seeing in some places it's up to like minus 220 now on these the Oilers team, and I'm going to get into some line changes after your take on this game. But what are your thoughts?
Well, so it's funny that a couple of these games are on our slate, Jay, because Brian almost brought it up. I think when he was talking about giving out Nashville as early as last night, talking about it early this morning. How could a team like Nashville, looking as hot as they are at home, yes, playing a pretty hot team in the Avalanche, but how could they be this plus 140 when he was talking about a plus 150? Now there's plus 175s out there. So you brought it up. How could a team that everyone looks to be thinking is just a dumpster fire of late, how can they be laying $2? And it's because, the Blue Jackets are just, you brought up their overall record, they're 2-7 last night. It's so skewed home versus away that it's ridiculous. They're pretty solid at home. In fact, I think they've won 5 in a row. I think they've lost 5 in a row on the road. It's constant travel, like you said. Not to mention, back to the Edmonton side, and Brian talks about this a lot, the puck luck. So Carm went farther back with the 6 games, but the Oilers have only scored 6 goals in the 5 games that they've lost in a row. Their expected goals is 16.94. And so it has to kind of come around. I just kind of believe in that coming around. A minus 10 is pretty much a fire spot for me. I like a couple of the things that you guys have mentioned. Brian said he was off, but I think you're getting even money on the Oilers over 3.5 goals here. And I like that side of looking to back this. I think there were spots that opened at 5.5 on the regular total and then went up to 6, and then Pinnacle is already up to 6.5. And so people are gobbling up that Oilers get right spot like Carm brought up. But I would think about maybe that puck line with the Oilers, but I also think that the Oilers get a little bit of revenge, or just get themselves feeling a little bit better tonight and at least score 4 goals.
Yeah, and I'm hoping they do. I do like the over on that one. I did get some money in on that 6 when it was available. So hopefully we go that way. Before we get into what you guys have up at Wager Talk and Sports Memo and the Best Bet segment, I wanted to mention some line moves as previous. At the top of the show, we talked about the Boston Bruins and the New York Islanders. The Islanders line continues to go up. It's at minus 135 now in some spots. You look at the Florida Panthers. They started this morning at minus 175. They are down to minus 145. The line is dropping at home off an 8-2 loss. So you might want to look for news as far as the Florida Panthers go. And the final one is the Philadelphia Flyers with Caden Primo named as a starting goalie for the Montreal Canadiens. That line has gone from up to 165. It was at minus 130 overnight. The final one, I talked about the Bruins, those exact scores. A 3-1 exact score pays plus 1,400 either way. And the favorite is 3-2 either way at plus 850 for the Bruins, plus 450 for the Islanders. Dr. Chuck, we'll go to you first. What do you have up at Sports Memo? And give us your best bet on the show.
Well, right now we have a bunch of different bowl games. There's a bowl package get all the bowl games that we release. We have a free play up as well in the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. As always, we have daily college and professional basketball, navigating the COVID slate, and packages available on everything. And we do all access 3, 7, 30, but every single day you're going to get NHL, NBA, college basketball, and then you'll if you pick it within that right window, you'll get those bowl games as well.
All right, a show best bet from you.
So, I don't know hockey like these guys, like, Carm and Brian and Andrew and Prez, they're awesome. And I don't want to, I'm not trying to pander exactly to the comments, but so much of what I do is just purely math and purely boring, and systems spit out a number. And, I can't tell you that on a whim that Landeskog is out tonight. I didn't have that information. So, that's just not how it's going to be. But my best bet tonight is Sharks and Canucks. I make this total less than 5. Getting a 5.5 is gravy. We're 7-3. Our last 10 totals it's been about 9 days. This is a game where I make the ceiling to be a 2-2 overtime spot. And that's how we cash a lot of our plays. Sharks have not put much offense together. The Canucks have actually looked pretty good, but it's just a spot where the math says that 5.5 is too much, which is why it's 5.5. It's a 5.5 on is a fire under, 6.5 is a fire over. I brought up that a lot of times, and that's going to be our best bet tonight. I think the Canucks probably win this game, but I had it closer to 2-1 even than 3-2.
All right, that's Dr. Chuck with his play and everything that is up at Sports Memo. And listen, it's analytics. A lot of the times, this is where I lean on when I'm looking at unders or overs. And tomorrow we have Kevin Dolan coming on. He's an analytics guy as well too. He goes by the numbers. And 7-3, 70% is a great record. So let's not discount that, Dr. Chuck. Bri, what do you have up at Wager Talk? And give us a show best bet.
Yeah, I'll repeat something similar to what you just said. It may not be his main sport, but I've been handicapping NBA for 40 years. I've been handicapping hockey for 5. I've made more money in the last 5 years in hockey than I have in the NBA. It doesn't matter how long you've been handicapping it. It doesn't matter if you know the names of the players. It doesn't matter if you watch the game. Sure, there's edges in that, but it all comes down to numbers. And I'm very much like Dr. Chuck in that regard. A lot of people, their eyes could fool you sometimes. So knowing less may end up being a positive. And so just because this isn't their main sport doesn't mean you can't make money on it. I'll get back and we'll talk about, the game that I touched on earlier in Nashville. I gave that to my clients overnight. It's now moved up. I saw it was 170 here in Caesars here in Vegas. Money's coming in on them, and I liked them at 135. And at this point, we don't know for a fact who's not going to play. Why would I not like them at 170? It's 160s out there everywhere. Give me Nashville. Everything points to Nashville other than the COVID situation. And like I said, we'll have to wait. And if you don't feel strong about it right now, wait to see who's going to be in the lineup. But it could be a game that could be canceled. But out of everything, I'm looking for bargains. I'm looking for the best overlay in my numbers compared to what the lines are. And that's Nashville right now. Give me Nashville plus good underdog number here.
All right. Brian Leonard of WagerTalk.com. I'm going to go to another over. Yesterday, I liked and I watched that game, and it almost got there. I liked the New York Rangers over yesterday against Arizona, and that game just looked like it was being played at a snail's pace. And then somehow in the third period, we got a bunch of goals and then an empty net opportunity, but it finished 3-2. It didn't get there. I'm going to go back to the Edmonton game that we discussed. Looks like, as Dr. Chuck said, a get-right spot for the Oilers, and against a Columbus team allowing over those 6 losses on the road, 4.5 goals per game. The Oilers need a win and need it in a bad way. Does that mean they're going to get it? There's no guarantee, but I'm looking for goals in this one. If you can grab the 6, grab it now, because as the guy said, it is creeping up to 6.5. I like the over 6 on this Edmonton Columbus game. Up at Wager Talk, 1 NFL play for tonight, 1 soccer play for this afternoon, and 4 NHL plays. Grab a 1-day all access, $39, and you get every single play that's released. I may add another play before the afternoon is up. Let's have a look at those show best bets. We have myself with the over 6, Columbus and Edmonton, Vancouver and San Jose under 5.5 for Dr. Chuck, Brian Leonard with a juicy plus 160 on Nashville. Guys, hit that like button. We'll see you tomorrow, 11 o'clock. And as always, good luck with your wagers.
We know this business is loaded with competitors and copycats, and we are very proud and extremely excited to be one of, if not the premier sports betting information provider in North America. From a massive library of free picks and handicapping videos, daily shows, podcasts, and articles, our free live odds service, a team of the nation's finest sports handicappers supported with top-rated customer service, we pride ourselves on being the leaders in our industry, always looking to evolve and stay multiple steps ahead of our competitors. With that being said, we truly do want to let you know we appreciate your patronage. Moving forward, 7-day all-access packages will be reduced from $119 to just $99, and our 30-day all-access packages are also being slashed moving forward, going from $349 to under $10 a day at only $299. Our new pricing is already active and available just by going to your favorite handicappers homepage right now.